guys and gals, and welcome back to another episode of TPASTAS. Yes, TPASTAS. This time, as every month, we have our creepypasta menstrual cycle, if you will. And this time we're going to take a look at a Donkey Kong Country 2 creepypasta called Diddy's Creepy Quest. So sit down and enjoy this shitpasta called Diddy's Creepy Quest.
Now call me what you want, but I've always loved Nintendo games. Some of my favorite games that I played, including Super Mario World, Pokemon Ruby, and The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword and Super Metroid. But my all-time favorite video game is Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest. I love everything about Donkey Kong Country 2. The characters, the levels, the music, and the bosses are simply magical. I completed the game time and time again, but now I know every secret in the game. However, a few weeks ago, I found an Easter egg that I'd never seen before. After seeing this, I'm not sure whether I like Easter eggs anymore. It was finally the day that I moved into my new apartment. I just landed a job in New York City for a publishing company, and I had just put all my furniture into my new house. The stress of fees and rent were killing me, so I decided to take it easy for the afternoon. I want to play my Wii and mold about. Deciding which game to play, I wanted to play Diddy's Conquest, my favorite game of all time. But I realized that I had not yet bought any of the Donkey Kong Country games on the Virtual Console, and I was never able to configure the internet connection properly for it. Now able to, I checked the Wii shop, but saw the games were not available for purchase, so I decided to instead take a walk through the city and see if I could find any retro video game stores. After about an hour of walking, I found a store called Retro and Rare Video Games. Fucking real. The store had a very run-down look, and I shuddered as I saw it. Ugh. I was going to pass the store by, seeing as how it looked so terrifying. But I saw, in the window, Donkey Kong Country 2 and a new Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I stopped in front of the store, my mouth agape, probably looking like a monkey. I rushed into the store, which was dingy and dark, and inquired about the game. The old man at the counter, whose name was Tom, told me that the game was free, as long as I bought the new SNES. I told him that I would pay for the object, which he said was free. He even gave me a free banana-colored controller because I was such a huge Donkey Kong fan. I took a cab home so I could play my new treasure as soon as possible, as I started my mundane job in the morning. I bolted into my apartment without hesitation, hardly remembered to lock the door as I did. I unplugged my Wii from my television, and I set up the SNES. I pulled a DKC box out and examined it, noticing how the vibrant color seemed even more vibrant than I remember. The red popping out with a blood red-like shine. Thinking nothing of it, I inserted the game into my Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The game made a satisfying clunk as I popped it into my console. I walked to my fridge and grabbed a root beer, my favorite soda, as the game booted up. When I came back from the kitchen, I noticed that the system had frozen on the Rareware logo. Thinking the old man sold me junk, I hit the console lightly, hoping that it would somehow fix my problems. And when I did, the logo began to warp. The jingle became a disturbing, distorted, crunching sound, like bone breaking, and the Rareware logo became a blood-like red. The scream that sounded an awful lot like a Kremling was heard, but then the game went back to normal. The title screen showed up next. It appeared normal and like the awful screen I just witnessed. The familiar title screen brought back memories of my childhood. I felt so happy, but my happiness soon came crashing down. The title warped into another frightening image for a few seconds. The letters were blood red, reading Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Creepy Quest. Diddy appeared frightened, running away from a figure in the background. Diddy looked so scared. He was crying and beaten up. I felt bad for the young monkey. The figure, upon closer examination, was Donkey Kong, one of my favorite video game characters. DK looked a little funny though. DK's familiar tie was replaced with a noose made out of barbed wire, as if he was hanged by some Kremlings, and his brown fur was stained with blood. That's a little more than looking funny, just saying. Anyways, back to the creepypasta. He had a severed arm of a Kremling, but his most terrifying feature was his eyes. They were a solid black, save for red pupils. He was crying tears of blood, but his blood-soaked mouth made him look terrifying. Suddenly, without warning, or my input, the game started. I heard a crashing sound from the game, and the game started. I was playing as Diddy, my #1 favorite video game character, just like usual. I was in a level I didn't recognize, which was funky, because I knew every level of the game like the back of my hand. I moved to the right, expecting something to pop out and defeat me, but nothing had happened. I traveled through the factory, seeing dead Kremlings everywhere. And when I say dead Kremlings, I don't mean defeated ones, no. Like when you jump on their heads, I mean dead. They were brutally murdered by something big, with many of their limbs removed, skulls crushed, their intestines wrapped around their neck. The blood was very realistic looking, as if actual animals were murdered. Diddy began crying tears of blood as he saw the horrific scene, which was probably a lot for such a young character to handle. It didn't occur to me that characters in the game could act like this, as they were programmed. At first I thought the game was hacked by the old man Tom. I continued to play Diddy's Kreepy quest, and at the end of the Odd Factory level I reached a throne. The throne was probably the evil King K. Rool's throne, who took over Kong Island. Did he murder these people? His own troops? He truly is a sick bastard. I made Diddy walk over to the throne, which had a broken crown on it. I touched it figuring it would end the level, and it did. But the next level was even more disturbing. Well, the next level was a cave. I don't remember any cave levels like this. The cave had crude drawings in the background that looked like they were made in... oh god, here's a shocker. Blood! Pictures of a gorilla-looking beast were in the background, destroying the crocodile-like figures. I figured that these were paintings done by the Kremlings, who thought Donkey Kong was evil. Boy, was I wrong. The level continued on. Skulls of Kremlings and those weird rat guys were everywhere in the level, along with some bits of flesh and brain. These horrific trials continued on forever, and as the level hadn't even ended, even though I'd been running for, nearly an hour, Diddy was sobbing and wailing to the point, obviously disturbed at this point, the horrible blood was everywhere. Suddenly I heard a scream from the game. I could no longer control it at this point, as if it was some giant cutscene. King K. Rool had stumbled onto the screen with a black eye, a missing hand, and a broken leg. He looked horrified and scared out of his mind, begging for Diddy's help. Diddy shrieked and ran over to the other side of the screen and hid behind a rock. Diddy watched in horror as an evil-looking Donkey Kong had appeared, with barbed wire around his neck, blood in his fur, and a machete in his hand. DK grabbed the pitiful Kremling by his tail, smiling with his stained and bloody tail as he cut off the poor crocodile's good leg. The character let out a horrific shriek, wailing for the pain to end. That's funny, I thought. Video game characters in this game can't even speak now. DK began brutally beating the crocodile with a rock he found nearby. He broke his limbs that he didn't cut off, smirking as he did. He stopped beating Cruel a minute later, with a horrible smile. He lifted up the leg that he had cut off and began eating it, right in front of Cruel. "I thought you monkeys only ate bananas," he cried out like a simpering fool. "This is the only way to keep invaders off my island. I'm the ruler of Congo Bongo Island," DK said in return, turning his attention back to K. Rool. He grabbed the lizard by his throat and picked him up, grabbing his head with the other hand. DK looked horrified. DK ripping the head off of the crocodile, grabbing a nearby pike, he stuck the severed head on a stick, screamed with fury, and ran out of the cave. I was able to control Diddy again, and so I followed the ape out of the cave. The level had ended. The last level I had played was the Kremling ship. I followed a trail of horrified Kremlings who begged Diddy for mercy. I was confused as I hadn't remembered this from my past experiences. I continued on to the helm of the ship and saw Donkey Kong. He was toting the stick and, with his head around, proclaiming himself the sole ruler of the island. Donkey Kong dropped the stick when he saw Diddy, grinning like he was evil or something. He grabbed the poor monkey and said, "I'll make an example of you to show my family. I am the only one who should rule." Diddy screamed out for me specifically and asked me to turn off the console. Donkey Kong said, "No, I have to do this." Suddenly, the power in my apartment was cut, except for the television, and I was horrified to watch the bloody scene. DK had brutally murdered his nephew in front of his family and friends, who bowed down and begged for mercy. DK began laughing, and he turned his attention to me. "I'll come for you next. I'll paint your new apartment with your blood." I was scared, but I couldn't see or find my way out of my apartment. I tripped over my television and fell over, huddling and hoping DK wouldn't kill me. I don't know how he could get me, but I was sure he could. I moved out and back with my parents for the time. I don't know when it'll be safe to play video games ever again, but I hope that Donkey Kong doesn't kill anybody anymore. I don't know who or what was hacking DK in this game, but ghosts and video games do not mix.
So this was Diddy's Kreepy quest. Oh man, this was quite shitty. But, we're not assholes, so let's see what's up with this shit pasta. Well, for one, we go back to the old cliche with the game salesman who sells the game for free. Now, mind you, it was with the purchase of the console, and, again, they also threw in the banana-themed controller as well. Now, I don't understand these overly generous salespersons. I never come across them in real life, but damn, I wish I could. These people, you gotta look at it. With other shit pastas, even before they were titled shit pastas, we had one where, employees would yell and just throw games at you like Cobra Kai, like all crazy. But, man, I wish I could come across some of these, really generous store clerks. But then you get the name as well, the store name. Oh my god, you might as well just call it generic game store number 1 or number 683. Are you fucking real? And then you get the game, which just, starts off just straight up, creepy. It just goes right into the shit instead of building up, which is the biggest. I mean, let's go right into the biggest offender in this. It was the goddamn mentioning of. I don't remember it like this. I mean, you see things in the past, but man, when it's so damn cringeworthy, even back then and even now. Because think about it logically. If you love a game, or you play a game in general, even if you didn't play the game or you were playing it, and you see something that is so out of the ordinary, that is so obliviously different, that is so out of context, and it makes no sense whatsoever, and then you just kind of brush it off and go on with it. I mean, how does that work? I mean, normal reactions to it would be you just keep on questioning it and stop and just analyze it to the 9th degree. The phenomenon needs build-up. It just shouldn't go full Sonic.exe like this. Honestly, the shitpasta tried, but it didn't get there, and in the end, the name Creepy Quest also just punches you in the throat and laughs. And I mean, to fix this, you shouldn't just throw things that occur right in the beginning. The best way to do this is to progress from normalcy into manageable discord, which makes a lot of sense. Give some obscurity to develop eeriness, and then it becomes pretty good. Make the acquisition natural again instead of a I mean, when you make the acquisition so detailed and you start going into the specifics of it, it makes people question it. And if you just, state a normal acquisition, that's all you need. I mean, that really isn't the most important part of a creepypasta. It's just how you obtain the game, really. But in the end, I'd ask you, what would you rate this shitpasta, and what would you change to make it better? This has been another episode of Shitpastas, and if you like what you saw, then like, comment, and subscribe. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.